The Seahawks get handed their first loss of the season by way of the Detroit Lions with a final score of 42-29. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us here on this post-game reaction edition of Seattle Seahawks Today. It wasn't the Seahawks night. The defense was just atrocious. And we knew going in the Seahawks were going to be very short-handed when it came to pass rushers and who they had available on the defensive line with no Byron Murphy, no Leonard Williams, no Uchenna Nwosu, no Boye Mafe. And that was the difference in this football game. The offense did their part. The offense was spectacular throughout the evening and got better throughout the second half. Geno played a very good game, 56 pass attempts, 38 of 56 through the air, 395 yards. One touchdown, did throw an interception late in the game as he was just trying to keep the Seahawks in it. The run game, Seahawks have to like what they saw from the run game today. Kenneth Walker made his return and looked very good. Led the Seahawks in rushing with 80 yards off of 12 carries. He also had 3 touchdown scores tonight. DK Metcalf was unbelievable. Third straight game for him with over 100 receiving yards with 7 catches. He's off to the best start of any season of his career. But the big news on the injury front, Julian Love left the game and did not return with a thigh injury. We don't have an update yet on what his status is going forward, but when we get more information, we will continue to keep you posted on what's going on with him after this loss. What is your one-word reaction to the Seahawks' performance against Detroit? My one word, folks, I'm optimistic. I still think that everything's in front of this Seahawks team. You lost to a good Detroit team. You're not going to play that bad defensively again when you get those guys healthy. And I saw enough from this offense that said, all right, they can hang with anybody. That's as good of an offense you're going to face all season in Detroit. And the offense played well enough to win. We know the defense is going to get better. I'm optimistic, even after this loss. Give me your one-word reaction. Weigh in. Let us know in the comments section. Geno, to his credit, he was throwing darts today. I mean, and I don't really care about that interception he had late in the game. Geno was on it. And I like what I've seen from the Seahawks quarterback to start the season. He did a really good job of spreading it out. DK had a great game. Tyler Lockett got involved. JSN. We even saw Jake Bobo's number called a few times. He ended up with 30 yards off of 3 catches here. The offense was just clicking. And I got to shout out Ryan Grubb. Ryan Grubb really schemed up this Detroit Lions defense to a T. They found the openings within the defense. Not only did they pass the ball well, they ran the football well. The offensive line, too. I know that there was quite a few penalties, but they did about as good as you could have expected from this group with having to face Aiden Hutchinson, with going with a third-string offensive tackle with Stone Forsythe. The offense did its job. It's not the reason they lost this game. It's the defense of why this team didn't come through today. For daily Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else, you got to subscribe to Seahawks Today. We had a fantastic time on our watch party. And if you missed out, don't worry. We'll have watch parties for every single Seahawks game this season. Closing in on 58,000 subscribers, less than 500 away from reaching that next milestone. For daily Seahawks coverage you won't find anywhere else, in addition to our watch parties, our live shows, breaking news, Q&A, mailbags, and more. It's all right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free, youtube.com/SeahawksTV. Let's talk about the run game for a moment. Kenneth Walker made his return. And what I wondered about Kenneth Walker going into tonight was, would there be any limitations on Kenneth Walker? Would they primarily use Zach Charbonnet with Kenneth Walker coming back from injury? And there was nothing that we saw from Kenneth Walker tonight that was of any concern. That Kenneth Walker looked 100%. He ran the ball with aggression. He punched it in the end zone, not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was a very good night from Kenneth Walker. You still had 38 yards on the ground from Geno Smith as well. Charbonnet, just 2 carries for 15 yards, 133 on the ground. Good balance from this offense. Even on a night when you threw the ball 56 times, the run game was still effective. You did have the 2 turnovers. DK had a fumble in the first half. You had the late pick from Geno Smith. 2-possession game, you could point to the turnovers being one of the differences in this one. But the time of possession, I mean, for as much as your defense was on the field, you still won the TOP at 34 minutes and 4 seconds there. So let's ask you, who was Seattle's MVP against the Detroit Lions today? Who makes the most sense for you? Weigh in the comments right now. Let us know who stood out, who gets your MVP in this loss. Weigh in, let us know. Today's show is sponsored by Game Time. Game Time is the place to go for the best seats, the lowest prices guaranteed. Looking for tickets to Seahawks games. Maybe you want to get a ticket to the next Seahawks home game. Maybe it's a concert, sporting events, theater productions, comedy shows, and more. Game Time's got you covered. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats. You don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. They have their super deals. If you see a super deal, that's going to be one you don't want to pass up on. They also have their seat views, which gives you the visual to see what that seat is like. Pick the event you want to go to, choose your seat, take advantage of that 3D visual, and then you're checking out. With Apple Pay, Google Pay, Venmo, all major credit card providers, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code CHATSPORTS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. The link is in the comments and the description of today's video. All right, I got to talk about the defense now. What a disaster that we saw from this Seahawks defense. Didn't create any turnovers. And there were several moments in this game where we said the defense needs to make a play. They need to create a turnover here, and they failed to do so. Gave up close to 300 yards through the air from Jared Goff. Gave up over 100 yards on the ground, close to 400 yards of total offense. This defense left a lot to be desired tonight. The pass rush, I know they ended up with 3 sacks on the evening. You had a sack from Jaron Reed, another from Derek Hall, and Draymond Jones. But it just simply wasn't enough throughout this evening. Jared Goff had a ton of time to throw. The run game for the Lions was effective. They did almost everything they wanted to. And I think, simply put, I come away from this game not really even discouraged. I know that they gave up 42 points. But, listen, when you're down that many players, it isn't going to be kosher. I mean, you need to get these guys healthy. I've seen enough from the first 3 weeks of this Seahawks defense where I can sit here and say we've seen significant improvement. Even still, even giving up 42 points today and letting the Lions do their thing, I've seen enough these first 3 weeks where I say, hey, this team is still going to figure it out. They still have everything in front of them. They're still in first place in the NFC West. It's going to be okay. Now, the next test. Where do you go from here? This is the first time you have faced adversity as this Seattle Seahawks team. You started 3-0. Everything was good. And now you get handed this loss. How will this team respond? What is Mike Macdonald going to do next after his team just got punched in the mouth, after they gave up 42 points? I can tell you this much. I would not want to be a player on this defense in practice this week, because it is going to be hell. If we know anything about Mike Macdonald, he's going to push these guys and try to get the most out of them. And this could be the wake-up call that this team potentially needs. Because if we're going to be frank, even though you were 3-0 heading into tonight, the Seahawks had not played that great in those first 3 games. Even the Dolphins game that they dominated, they still left a lot out there. So hopefully this loss, you learn from it. Let's see how they respond. Hopefully a message is delivered, and the Seahawks go from here. How would you grade the Seahawks' performance tonight against the Detroit Lions? I mean, I'm going to go with a D+. You still lost by 2 scores. You still gave up 42 points. Offense was great, but this is one where you sit here and you say what could have been. If the defense could have just gotten a couple stops, this would have been a different ball game. Give me your grades in the comments section. For continuing Seahawks coverage, subscribe now to Seahawks Today for the latest happenings on your favorite team each and every day. I'm Tyler Jones. Make sure and join us tomorrow. We'll have Overreaction Tuesday here on the channel. We'll see you then.